Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm having a look at Dungeonmans, and this was a roguelike game that was gifted to me by my loving wife, who saw a different content creator play the game, and she figured this is something that I would very much enjoy, and I have been playing it to death and I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. One of the main reasons why she figured it would be so enjoyable is not only because it is a roguelike, but also because of its unique presentation. For instance, these developers have a sense of humor that very much aligns with, I suppose, with mine. They do things like this option in the menu is either useless or does nothing, which I thought was quite interesting, and I'm going to choose that this time it does nothing, because I don't know what it's supposed to do. So, for this run through, I do think I am going to start a new academy rather than play through on one of the two that we already have. So, our story begins in a forgotten age, a legend lost in histories that were buried in old myth. On the unfamiliar shores of an untamed land, a hero strode forth to... No, don't be silly, that hero is not you. Strode forth to bring the light of knowledge and civilization to a wild continent known only as Wild Unpandre. So, I do think that I'm not going to call it Wild Unpandre. Let us call it DuhblinnZA, because why not? The great hero upon the shores of DuhblinnZA brought with him but one thing, the iron spirit of a Dungeonmans. There is no greater force than the Order of Dungeonmans, each one titan of monster-crushing greatness, an unparalleled treasure hunter, and veteran of 1,000 battles. Here, one of the eldest and greatest of their champions set out to spread the light of the Dungeonmans to a new land. The great hero set out to build the mighty Dungeonmans Academy, and yada yada yada. So the idea is that a Dungeonmans comes up on this land, he decides to build an academy to train other Dungeonmans. So the story of one candidate ready to embark on the rigorous years of study required to be a true Dungeonmans. What is this candidate's name? I am going to start out with Harmon, which is a random name generated to me by Neverwinter Nights the first time I played it, and it is a name that I have been using for my adventurers ever since. So, I am going to start up with Harmon being my first Dungeonman. So the way the game works is you have 4 main stats. Strength is the one that increases your health and stamina, and it is one of the stats that is valuable for every Dungeonmans, no matter what class you're playing. Skills is for accuracy and range damage, and for getting past an enemy's block and parry. Science is reduces magic damage, and increases effectiveness of a bunch of items that you can use. Boom increases your mana and determines magic damage, and it also adds a little bit of damage to range attacks and is the essence of destruction. So it seems from what I can gather from playing the game and from the wiki that strength also does add damage, not just to melee damage. It increases your melee damage, but it also increases all damage slightly. So it is a very important stat no matter what class you are playing. So one of the interesting things you can do with the game is it allows you to roll for stats, and you can decide what stats you want. If you don't like any of these stats, you can say that these are garbage rolls and Harmon is not Dungeonmans material, and you can reject this candidate. So not everyone is cut out to be a Dungeonmans. Will Harmon walk away from the academy? He must get out. So few are those chosen by fate, but fewer still are those with the courage to accept the charge and rise to the occasion. Alas, that Harmon was not made of sterner stuff. What life is in store for Harmon we may never know. Training at the academy continues on, where even now another candidate braves a long path to the admissions office. And this candidate's name will be Cereza. So, actually, I should have showed something else. The game does an interesting thing where if you try to reuse a name of a candidate you've rejected, it actually tells you, it tells you what are you trying to pull here, which I thought was very smart from the developer's perspective. So, I don't think I want to build a Foom-based character. I do want high strength though, so I don't actually like any of these roles for what it is that I am trying to do. So maybe I am going to reject Cereza, and then I can actually show that as well. Cereza is no Dungeonmans. You said so yourself. Greatness comes calling. But Cereza did not answer. You think the Academy would have 2 students with the same name? Ridiculous. So, what I will do is Cereza Helenhammen. Because why not? Okay, so this is looking a bit better. So 17, 17, 13, 12, that is actually pretty good stats. Gives me high accuracy for ranged and strength. So what I'm going to do is, the way this works is if you choose one of the classes that they give you to start off with, they give you your first points of skills already assigned. However, if you want, you can choose to be a Dungeonmans, and you're the hero, you make the call, they give you 5 mastery points, and you decide what to do with them. If you are even more hardcore than that, you can be a tourist-mans. Some graduate from the academy through the trials of steel and will, others accidentally wandered into the graduation ceremony on their way to the family farm. Guess which category you fall into. So, as far as I can tell, I have not tried this yet, but a tourist man does not get any stats and any items at all. It is the hardest way to play the game. So, there's a bunch of different starting classes. I'm not going to go into detail of any of them. What I do know is that Rangermans is very good to start off with. Being able to do range attacks is very, very useful. Personally, I enjoy a Fightermans and a Necromancer because of the abilities that they have. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start this one off as a Dungeonmans so that I can start off with a build that I've found to be fairly effective to start off with. You can also start off with 2 different perks. The game has quite a few. Some of them, like Mono Perk Disorder, is just, it's a non-perk. It is one of those you can choose to make the game slightly more difficult. When looking at the perks, they give you the benefits in blue and the cons in red. And as you can see with something like World Champion, more champion monsters will spawn in the world. As a positive, and as a negative, more champion monsters will spawn in the world. Even the scrubbiest monster knows to be the man, you've got to beat the mans. They all want a shot at the next hotshot graduate to come strutting out of the academy, so get ready. But since I am not very good at this game, I am actually going to stick with some of the more useful ones. So stamina recovery ticks faster and is more potent, all mana gains increased by 20%. I'm not so interested in the mana gains, but Tireless means that using stamina-based powers creates strain for 2 rounds instead of 5, and since I am going to be building a melee character, stamina is very important for me, so I will be using Tireless as my first perk, and I think what I'm going to do for now is I'm actually going to stick with deal more damage when gravely injured, more AP gain, and 1 extra action every 5 rounds, but I take more damage from everything. I'm going to go with Pneumatized. So another thing that you can do with the game is you unlock new little skins as you play through it and progress and unlock different dungeons and different events in the game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dual wield. You can also, in this game, everybody is a Dungeonmans. Even the women are Dungeonmans. They are just lady Dungeonmans. But in this case, I don't care, and neither should you. So, since this is a new world, I don't think I have any persistent information in it at the moment. So, congratulations, Reza Helenhammen, as the first graduate of the Dungeonmans Academy. There's much that rests upon your shoulders. So, he wants to give me an overview of what the game is like. What I can do is I will just put it up on the screen for anybody who wants to pause and read through it. But basically what it comes down to is that the dread Purpelonians are the greatest threat known to man, and the further you wander in the world, the more dangerous things become. What you want to do is you want to unlock artifacts, you want to find books, you want to find weapons, you want to bring things back to the academy so that you can improve it, and improving that is the way that you get your persistent buffs throughout the different playthroughs. So obviously, as with most roguelikes, you will die. It is pretty much guaranteed. So, game offers a bunch of customization options, which I really enjoyed. What I am going to do is, I like starting off with, I think it's very useful. I prefer medium armor because it gives me some mobility options as well. I am going to start off with one-handed weapons with basic archery so that I can at least get a bow, and I'm going to start off with dual wielding as well. So one of the things that the game does is if it has a little arrow at the bottom like this, it is a passive skill. Blocks like these are active skills that you need to load onto your different, onto your hotbar. I want to start off with dual wielding one-handed weapons and being able to equip a bow at the very least. And one of the other things I want to do is I want to start with increased dungeon sense, because this gives me the ability to find more secrets in dungeons. And I think that is going to help me out a lot. No, I don't want to talk to you. I want a psycho focus. Not that I can do anything with a psycho focus at the moment, but let's have it. So I want to start off with a weapon in my main hand and with a bow equipped. I can start with the only leather that I have. Let's see, there's nothing else that I have here. So you would have seen in the menu poultry. So battle poultry is a concept that comes into the game much, much later, where you actually have a little helper, a little chicken helper that you can build up as either a melee or a ranged companion to help you out. One of the things that you collect through the game is proofs of strength, and these allow you to increase your stats, but also they persist. So they belong to the academy, and because they belong to the academy, they persist through and are usable on your following characters, which is one of the main ways that you improve your newbies. So let's start off with heading into the first dungeon. So the convenient Scrobold Warren, which is right next to foolish red creatures setting up their squalid home not a stone's throw from the Dungeonmans Academy. It's as if they wanted to be crushed. So Reza Halen keeps a watchful eye, careful, cautious, on guard. So typical top-down roguelite. I can maneuver, I can move diagonally, and then when I want to attack, so F is my ranged attack because I have an arrow, I can just shoot with the arrow, but as with most of these games, I will do most of my melee attacking by just walking into the creatures and hitting them really, really hard. Game has some very nice animations as well, and a lot of people, I know there's a lot of people that don't enjoy this style of game, not just from the art style, but specifically these types of games. But this one very much reminds me of classic games that I used to play, like Ancient Domains of Mystery, which was introduced to me by a very good friend of mine back in my varsity days, which is actually one of the games that I never quite got into as much as I was hoping for, mainly because it was so huge, and it's one of those games that I don't think you can really play it without a wiki. While I'm finding Dungeonmans to be a lot simpler to get into, with not as much weirdness to learn, which I do quite like. So let's see, I've picked up some items. I've got a combat tunic, which is light, quote-unquote, armor. The game also breaks up armor into light armor, medium armor, and then real armor. Definitely trying to tell us something there. First time you encounter potions and scrolls, you don't know what they do. You need to get them identified either by using an identify scroll or by talking to the headmaster of the academy, who can also help you learn a bunch of new informations. So let's just see, this is a rebel's tunic, which is better than I have, even though I don't have it identified. I I can go and identify it a bit later. What I want to do right now is actually just head on down further into the dungeon. I am looking for the champion, the one who stole the stuff from our academy, so that I can take it back and start getting some of the persistent unlocks for my inevitable next character. Leveling up. Whoop, what did I press now? So leveling up in this game just gives you points that you can spend on your abilities specifically. I can't use any of my dual wielding abilities yet because I don't have a second weapon at the moment, so I'm gonna have to wait for that. But what I do want to do is possibly to unlock increased coin and loot drops, because I want to see if I can get some better items from the game. So let's have a look. I am one of the I have definitely found that having ranged damage available in the game is a necessity. It doesn't matter how strong you try and make your melee characters, you do need some kind of ranged attack as well. So, Glopnug the Fury. Me make deal with dirty Dungeonmans. You fall over and die, me take good care of your nice stuff. How about I just kick your ass and use whatever copper falls out of you to buy a sandwich? That doesn't seem very nice. So maybe let's just check, have I picked up any other... Why are my keys not working? There we go. I haven't picked up any other one-handed weapons, so I am going to have to stick with not being able to use any of my abilities. As you fight... Oh, barely scratched. Oh, wow. As you continue to fight through the game and unlock new dungeons and new skills, the more you fight, and as you build up your academy as well, you start getting information about the enemies that you fight, and you can start seeing their stats, and you can see things like their health. All very, very useful. I have mana potions, but I don't have anything else. I'm just going to have to punch this guy and see what happens, because I don't have any useful... I don't know what any of these scrolls do. What is that? So it is carefully escape dungeon. So within 20 rounds, I am going to gracefully exit, which is definitely not what I was hoping for. This was a scroll of Eat Curse, which means that if I had curses on any of my weapons, I would have been able to get some benefit from it. And there's a very good chance that he is now just going to kill me because he is roughed up and I have no way of using abilities or running away from him. Do I have... what is this potion? It is a healing potion. That is fantastic. So I can actually try and get away, but... How dead is he? Roughed up. I am going to need to run away because he... Oh, wow. I actually think I'm doing more damage with the bow than I am with the... Yeah. Bow is doing more damage, so I'm going to have to keep shooting him with the bow. Badly wounded. Let's see now. Oh my word. He is going to kill me on my first demo of this game. It is... I am dead. Would you look at that? So ends the journey of Cereza Helenholm at the level 2 Dungeonmans on floor 2 of the convenient Scrobble Warren. Defeated by Glopnug the Fury, who now claims the throne of this leaderless dungeon, uniting the forces of evil with a tremendous show of Dungeonman slaying power. So one of the interesting things, I was expecting this to happen a little bit later because I didn't make it easy for myself, but and I did want to show off some of these things in the demo of the game. It did happen a little bit sooner than I expected though. But it does a couple of interesting things. You can see the final log to see exactly what happens when you played the game, exactly how you died, what the last combat log was. But the post-mortem is very interesting because they give you some ideas on how the last few rounds went. So what they give you some hints and tips. So they tell you about things like, you had your stamina full, did you consider using all of your defensive powers? They say things like how much damage you took in the last turns, and they say what kind of healing you had available, what options you had for escaping. So it's very convenient. It's very nice. They give you a bit of feedback in how you could have done it. But now essentially what you can do is you can go back to DuhblinnZA, you can create a new candidate and say it is... I haven't done Dublin yet. So let's just do Dublin, and I can go and create a new character now with new stats, and I can say, well, in this case, let's go with a high magic stat character, and let's say it is a Wizardmans, and in this case, maybe I do want the one that gives me more stamina, and I believe there was one that was for more mana as well. Where is that one now? Damage, AP gain, fire damage, bleeding damage, poster child, world champions, first potion you drink, using stamina. I'm very confused right now. Oh, I think the one that I just chose is actually the one that I was looking for. This is the one that creates less strain. So maybe let's just do that. And let's start with a Wizardmans in this case. So as the second, if I had any proofs of strength before, then I would have been able to go talk to the Battle Master and get myself some extra abilities. But in this case, I don't. Now, as you can see on the left-hand side, I have some skills preset because of the things that I did. And I have weapons and equipment preset as well. This is an event which is running in this month. So what the game does as well is you can see where your previous heroes died. What I didn't show now as well is inside the academy you also have a... Oh, the Slayer of Cereza. It falls on Dublin to defeat Glopnog the Fury and avenge them. So what the game does is, I like the way that it builds in the ancestry as well. So I can... Oh, he's too far away. There we go. The way that the ancestry is built into the game, it does things like if there were more than one champion or more than one enemy that ended up fighting you, the one that slays you becomes the new kind of leader of the dungeon and becomes a new champion in his own right. Which I thought was very interesting, and I'm already dead. Interesting. So you died with one blink or fast movement item in your backpack. I died with 100% of my stamina pool full, and I took 118% of my max damage in over 3 turns. That was unexpected. But since I was just planning on showing the game very quickly, it's... No, I don't want to delete anybody. Load game. Load game. Let's just go with that quickly, because at least what I wanted to do... and let's just go with a Fightermans again, Rangermans. So I think that what's happened now is I've started getting impatient with the game because I'm actually much stronger in one of my own personal worlds. But that is no excuse for playing the game as poorly as I am currently playing it. So what I do want to do is I just want to show what happens when you get back to your old body as well. One of the things you can do is as you unlock more of the world, you can start upgrading your starting weapons and items, and you can get what they call in the War Gear Vault, you can put your set and legendary and your heroic gear. Game does interesting things like if you become strong enough and you get killed in a dungeon and you get back to your old body, sometimes the weapons that you pick up become legendary weapons based on the ancestry, the story, the tale of the character that died. So you might come up and say you find a dagger that has Cereza's name on it, and it is the legendary dagger of Cereza. So it's unique little things like that which I really enjoy about this game. What I do want to do is I just want to so interrupt the small. So I should now, because I died on this floor, it should either be here or the next floor. You can't fire a ranged shield or weapon. I thought I had something else equipped. Why is this thing so strong? Pick, plank, and nail. Let's go with that rather than... So, more damage. I should be using some of my abilities as well. And I have no healing, so... I am going to die again. I'm trying to remember how I played this game the first time. What did I do? Did I just spend more time going to the stores and buying stuff? Because this is a poor showing. So maybe let's just show, like, as an example of some of the things that you unlock as you get further into the game. As you get further into the game, you build out your academy. You get a much larger alchemy lab. You start building up stats for monsters that you've slain, and data. You can start getting data about them. You unlock mysterious items, which then can be used to boost any new characters that you have when they start. New characters that start can also get buffs in the form of spending your points and increasing your stats, so that you can get a bit of a leg up when you start. You can unlock more of your poultry. Your poultry you can equip, and you can summon them. So one of the more interesting things with your poultry is that they can build up skills and stats as well. So you can unlock new abilities for them. And then when you have them maxed out on the different stats and you have your abilities on them, you can actually start breeding them, and you can start getting even stronger and more powerful poultry to help you out. So I think that since I've died 3 times, I think that's all I'm going to actually show, because now the entire world knows exactly how much I suck at roguelikes. Even though it is one of my favorite genres of games, it is not one that I am particularly good in, especially not when rushing to show things off like I've been trying to do now. But Dungeonmans is definitely one of the more enjoyable ones that I've played in a very long time, and I think I'm going to be playing this one for quite a bit. I will probably be streaming this one as well sometime in the near future. So if you're interested in that, you can head on over to my Twitch and you can follow me there, and remember to put notifications on so that you can see when I go live. But if you enjoyed this video and want to see more unique, interesting indie games, I am definitely trying to do a few more of those and put some more interesting ones onto the channel. And it would help me very much if you can put a like down on this video to show me that you are interested in seeing more games like this one. With that, I think I am going to call it a day, because I don't like dying 3 times in a single session. So I hope you all have a much better day than I did. Goodbye.